For me, having bipolar has been difficult, tragic. I've almost tried to take my own life because I felt like there's nothing to look forward to.
Bipolar disorder is a serious lifelong mental illness that is characterized by dramatic mood swings from depression to manic behavior or episodes of extreme recklessness.
When the bipolar now comes in and just disables you, it's like I couldn't do anything. I'll just be in the house. I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to eat. I don't want to see anyone. I just want to keep to myself. I want to sleep the whole day. You know, almost more sleep than a newborn. And then the mania, which is now the alternate state of mind, what happens with mania is that you have increased appetite, your activity levels are high, that is mentally, and that way what happens is that I start spending sprees. Cannot be able to justify, like for example, I just see this, I just buy it, just see this. The other one was sleep. Actually, I could not sleep. Sometimes I could stay for 2-3 days. Yes, straight. I could not sleep and I don't feel tired. The other one was flight of thoughts, which means you're talking about this, I start talking about 100 other things. See, for me, it makes sense to me, but to you, it's like, what are you talking about?
Kanyi Gikonyo, a project manager at a local international company, has bipolar. He was diagnosed with this condition 10 years ago.
I would get headaches that had no physical basis. When you go to the hospital, you have a heart problem, the cardiologist has a look, and you do the echogram and everything. The tests show that there's a problem, but when they do the test, it's normal. But still, it's a psychological. So there was that aspect. And then from there, it then became depression, because instead of now anxiety and being always worried and my hands being cold and clammy, like it would be very hot. My hands would be so cold, it's like I stuck my hand in the fridge. And it was a long process because I personally could not understand, and I could not make my parents understand. I didn't even know how to make them understand that I had a problem. It was easier to say that I was fine, I was fine, I was fine.
Doctors are not sure what causes it, but it is likely a number of factors are involved, including genetics.
Somebody suffering from bipolar 1 disorder, they have relatives in their family, either the immediate family or the extended family, who have suffered from the same disorder. In fact, it is shown that close to 90% of people suffering from mood disorder, bipolar specifically, have a family member who has suffered from it. Then another predisposition is, for example, history of loss of a close relative like a parent when someone is young. So you find that when you get the history, you find that some of them have lost a parent when they were young, before the age of 12. Then of course stressors. It has been shown that before the first episode, there is usually a stress associated to it.
The first manic or depressive episode of bipolar disorder usually occurs in the teenage years or early adulthood, often as a response to a certain trigger. For Kanyi, it was the tragic loss of his brother through suicide when he was still very young.
It happened for a space of those 10 years. I would find I progressed through classes as other students, but I was very much on my own. I kept to myself. It was almost like I developed a cocoon in my mind. And in this cocoon, it's like I was just reacting to life. I was not proactive. I had no interest in drama. I had just, my ability to enjoy life just went.
Although bipolar is treatable, the symptoms can be subtle and confusing, so many people with bipolar disorder are overlooked or misdiagnosed.
It is called bipolar because it has two poles. It has a manic pole and a depressive pole. So this person, at one point they will be manic, very happy, very elated, overspending, excited, but then a time comes. Some it might be a day, some it might be a week, months, where they get into depression. So in depression, they feel sad most of the time. They even contemplate suicide. They are irritable. They don't eat, although some might get increased appetite and even gain excessive weight.
One of the greatest challenges of a bipolar is coping with the diagnosis, especially so because of the stigma associated with any mental illness.
I can tell you, no one wants to admit that they have the disease, because if you have a mental illness, then you're ineligible for employment. If you have a mental illness, then it can be frustrating for people who don't understand. Like some of my friends will say, okay, let's meet on this day. I would plan, and that they would look for me and they say, let's meet on Saturday. Then what happens on Saturday, I'm like, do I go, do I not go? And then I just switch off the phone instead of even telling the person, could we please reschedule to another day? So I would just not give any up and just do it that way, and then cook up some long story about what happened. And the other thing I would do is I tend to internalize everything. It's like you start analyzing every little thing that happens to you, and you start allocating blame. If something goes wrong, I start blaming myself. It was because I'm sick, because I have this. That's why everything is going this way.
Left untreated, bipolar can have far-reaching consequences and in some cases can lead to suicide.
No, actually, just like diabetes, when a person is diagnosed to have bipolar 1 disorder, if their diagnosis is correct and the correct medication is given, this person can live a normal life. But they have to be on medication. They have to stabilize the mood, because we've said the mood becomes high and at other times it becomes low. So you need to put them on medication which stabilizes the mood to the midpoint. So long as they get that mood stabilizer, they live a normal life. You wouldn't tell that they're on medication.
Another challenge is to the family members, who often feel confused and alienated when a person is having an episode.
As a family, when he gets into his moods, like for example, we have a joke with my mom. We call it the summary season, where he gets into this situation where he's like in a block, where he feels he can't do anything, especially socially, where he feels he's almost like crippled, socially, when he's able to talk to people and things like that. We have all these people saying that he's a great guy, he's charismatic, he's exciting, but he doesn't see that for himself. He's closed in this capsule, believing that things are not good for him. But now coming to understand and get to realize that it's actually a reflection of the issues that he's had in his childhood.
Family support is key to management of bipolar. Family members and friends need to remember that having bipolar disorder is not the fault of the afflicted person.
At the end of the day, it's all about management. When I see any minute he's down, or he can even attest to this, when he's down, I can tell. So I always pick it up and I'm like, Kanyi, you okay? Can I take you for ice cream, or can we go out somewhere, and get his mind off that, and maybe he can talk about what he's actually feeling at a point in time. And for when you start looking for those signs and you understand what those signs are, then you're able to help the person overcome that.
The society generally does not really understand mental illnesses. So it would be very important that if you suspect somebody is behaving abnormally, instead of condemning them, probably the best thing would be to refer them to a health facility where they could be evaluated and you find the person can be helped. Because I'm sure there is nobody who would really want to behave that way.
Officially diagnosed with bipolar in 1999, Kanyi Gikonyo has learned to live with it, and he now takes it upon himself to educate people about this condition that is highly misunderstood.
So you have the problem, learn about the problem, get a book. If it's bipolar, get a book like the one I have, read about New Hope with Bipolar, and just get some form of empowerment and a sense of responsibility that you can lead a normal life.